Hey everybody, this is a video response to 3 Apostle Mattia Bolton, and her video is called "Should a Christian Woman Marry a Man Whom is Unsaved? Let's Talk." It's been a while since I've made a response to Mattia, but I've been watching, a few of her videos here and there over the past couple years. And she's been moving away from some of the New Age mysticism style Christianity, where there's some things integrated into that worship, and she's going more into mainstream sort of charismatic worship. But she made this video, and in the description she says let's talk about being unequally yoked, right? And for me, that is it's a trigger word. Like, you hear a lot about trigger words lately in certain circles, but for me that's something that triggers memories of my own Christian upbringing, where my mother would tell us, "Don't marry into an unequal yoke." That was her exact words, and what she meant by that was not just don't marry somebody who is in a different religion. It could mean something like don't marry somebody who's an alcoholic or a drug abuser. That's what she meant specifically by it, but also I think, after years and years of soaking it in and really thinking about what an unequal yoke meant in the Bible, I think really it means more like it's not about caste. It's not about like poor people should marry poor people and rich people should marry rich people. It's not about somebody from one religion denomination shouldn't marry another denomination, like Catholics and Baptists. It could, because it's the Bible, it could be referring to, Christians shouldn't marry a Muslim or an atheist or a Jew. But for me, what I get from it, what I take with me, because now I'm not a very religious person at all, but I do still take some lessons from the Bible as being good. And for me, an unequal yoke is quite literally just like when you have two oxen and they have a yoke, right? And you got one over here and you got one over here, right? And you're trying to plow a field, and one of them's working harder than the other. It could be because that ox is bigger, and it's putting more weight of the yoke and the plow on the smaller one, and it's just creating problems. Or it could be just because one's being motivated more, one's getting the whip cracked on it more, one just has a lot more energy because it slept the night before and had a healthy meal, all sorts of things. But if one is working harder than the other, you're going to have problems plowing a field, doing work together. And that metaphor applied to relationships, I feel, means if you have one person who's trying to work at making a relationship work, and you have one person who's not trying as hard, what it leads to is resentment on the part of the person who's actually trying harder to maintain that relationship. And so you should find somebody who really wants to be in that relationship just as much as you do, and wants to get just as much out of it as you want to, and wants to spend as much time as you want to with each other, in my own personal feelings, I like when I'm dating someone, for them to have their own hobbies, apart from mine, because I like to do some solitary things. One of the things I like to do is read, and that hobby takes a couple hours out of every day. Now, I could be in the same room with somebody else while they're reading and not be bothered by whatever they're doing. Or it could be Sudoku. This is a real life example. Sudoku can be very addictive for other people, not me, but you know, whatever that hobby is, I like to spend some solitary time to myself with my hobbies, and I would expect somebody to have their own hobbies, and there's a certain percentage of the time where I would like to have conversations. I like dinners together where the TV is turned off and people talk. I do like that. I was raised that way, but there are some people who want more together time than I would want. They want to spend every waking minute with you, and you know, even aside from me having a day job, I still need additional alone time beyond that. That's just me. Some people they might feel so attracted to their significant other, and it might even work out for some people that they have to quit their jobs and go into business together because they can't be apart from each other. As long as work hours would keep them apart, so they've got to work together. And that's even scary to me to think of spending that much time together with one person. Wow, that is scary. I get shivers just thinking about it. But to me, that's what unequal yoke means beyond just the religious aspect of it. Find somebody who wants to put in just as much work into you both working together, and somebody who's willing to mend whatever's wrong whenever something comes up, and if you don't have somebody who is willing to compromise, talk, you communicate, somebody who just wants what they want and they're very selfish, the relationship's not going to work. Now, when you use it in the religious sense, now it's not just charismatic Christians that would say don't marry an atheist, it's just about every denomination of Christianity. If you were to have somebody go to their Bible study and ask all their friends, hey, I really like this guy, but he's an atheist, what do you think they're going to be told by their friends in that Bible study? Don't date him, don't get serious until he joins our church. That's what it's going to be. And as such, those of us who are out atheists, we face a strange sort of discrimination. It's like other lessons from other types of discrimination just don't seem to apply in people's heads about this. Because it's not like Mattia being a black woman. It's not like how a lot of white men would just immediately put her in a class as being undateable because she can't pass as a white person. And it's not even that they're racist in any other sense than who they would like to date. They might hire her for a job. They might vote for her for president, you know, but they're not going to date her because their personal preference is not black people, and they will put up a wall of like, oh, as soon as they realize that this person's black, not dateable, you know, and that it's something that on that level, you know, when we're talking just about skin color, it's very apparent that people can have sometimes a bigotry that they live with, they don't address it, and they don't want to address it, and it doesn't seem to apply to the other aspects of how they treat this person, just in dating, right? But if you look at it, you can tell that it's bigotry. You know, there's this line where, you know, people of one color are a yes, and people of a different color are a no. You know, but when we're talking about religious bigotry, like not dating outside of your own religious sect, however broad you want to make that, you know, it's like people can't even realize the bigotry that they're allowing themselves to trick themselves into accepting, you know. And I've seen it between Catholics and Baptists. I've seen it between, I've seen it from evangelical, charismatic, Pentecostal churches against Catholics. I've seen a lot of that. And I've seen a Pew Research poll from last year that showed where atheists were the bottom of the barrel, even below Muslims in America, as far as who would you let your daughter marry, you know, if you had a choice. There was actually a poll that asked that question. And, you know, into other denominations of Christianity, it was a pretty high percentage. But, yeah, to be part of this group of atheists who are discriminated against with this bigotry it's not even extended to Muslim men from Christians, from Christian women, as much. It's like, as long as you believe in some God or some sort of spirituality, you're still this bar that's set above somebody who's a skeptic and an atheist, because those guys are just assholes. They're just going to bring you down. They're just going to shoot holes in everything. But a Muslim, at least you got, you know, the talking point of, does God exist, period. You've got that much out of him. So you can work on converting him into Christianity, because you've got the foundation of you both believe in God. But an atheist, oh no, that's a lot of work to get him to believe what you do. I gotta tell you, Mattia, it's not the other way around for me. I know some atheists who cringe at the thought of dating somebody who is not another atheist or not another skeptic, or, you know, whatnot. I just watched a video by a YouTuber named Fact versus Religion. She was talking to her own father, and she said she was out on a date, and a guy said that he was really interested in studying homeopathy. And she, as a skeptic, was very turned off by that. Like, he was pretty on the inside, he was a nice guy, but as soon as she found out that he was willing to entertain this homeopathy, she was immediately disgusted and wanted the date to end, you know, right there, you know, and said as much in this video. I feel actually maybe lucky to be part of such a vast minority in America, because I don't feel like having experienced as much of this dating bigotry that I would hold that against somebody else, you know. And much of it is because it's slim pickings for atheists in America. You know, I could go to a different country like the Netherlands, where it's like 70% atheist, and pick up an atheist chick there, you know, really easy. But the slim pickings that it is in America is such that you might not even know any people of the opposite sex in your community, because some communities are not as knit together as others here in America in different cities among the atheists. Sometimes it's just so splintered that you don't know anyone that's dateable that believes or doesn't believe the same way that you do. So you look to other people, and rather than look for somebody who is an atheist, I've been looking for somebody who isn't mean. I look for somebody who doesn't create a lot of drama in my life. See, I've got this pillow right here. This is my big example. I want a girlfriend that creates as much drama in my life as this pillow. Right? That's... I would like to watch a movie with a girl by my side, and then they'll have like the whole world doing whatever, like walking back and forth on the couch behind us, right? And it doesn't matter because we're watching the movie, you know? And there's nothing from the outside world that interacts with her and then like gets her chatting in my ear, and then we can't watch the movie, you know? I want throw pillow level drama. That's what I'm looking for. Just a nice person who doesn't criticize me for wanting to read a book. You know? And I don't think that I'm asking too much here, but I have found that it is a lot for some people, that I would want to read a book for a couple hours. You know? And somebody might be like, well, why don't you do something to better yourself? Or something productive. Anyways, I would hope that you would know what it feels like to be in this class that's discriminated against, because some of the things that you say, Mattia, are just so laden with this like deep spirituality that I would see a lot of guys running the other way. You know, just based on how devoted you are to your church life, a lot of guys are looking for a woman that is not that devoted. And that's where they draw the line, you know. There's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about that you mentioned in your video. That if you find a guy that loves God more than you, then your relationship's going to work. You know, you're not going to have as many problems. So you don't want somebody to love you more than they love God. You want them to love God first. And my immediate reaction to that is, when you have a relationship, who's in that relationship? You know, from the point of view of someone who doesn't even really believe in your God. You know, if I were dating you, Mattia, and you start talking about God as being part of the relationship, I'm like, you know, I'm in this monogamous relationship. You know, I'm in it to be with you. not you and whoever else. And coming from my perspective, I might consider that to be, if you consider yourself in communication with God and I'm not, you know, then you could say anything that you want and just say, well, God probably wants that, so I'm going to let you know that my way is better because I'm the one in communication with God. And I would have a problem with that particular type of relationship with a Christian woman. But there are many Christian women who are not like that, who would actually consider the relationship between two people to not necessarily have to include anything else. And whereas you might be feeling that making a menage a trois in bed between you and your significant other and God, you might feel that strengthens everything. I can see how that in my relationships might be something that gets in between people. So yeah, there's going to be problems that will need to be worked through if a charismatic Christian starts dating an atheist, you know. I guess the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was you say that some people might not have their soulmates here because their soulmates were aborted, so the person who they were predestined to be married to is no longer in the world. And that's an idea that again, it goes back to, well, who's in this relationship? Like, is it God setting things out so that everyone's supposed to be with another person that God selected? Or are you actually choosing somebody else to be with? You find someone, you like them for them. You don't like, do you have to ask God whether or not you like someone? you know? Do you tell your girlfriend or boyfriend, I'm so happy that God allowed me to love you because I saw things that I liked, but I had to ask for permission first before I could like that a little bit more? It it speaks to a fundamental difference in how we're thinking about what the foundation of a relationship is. To me, it's an agreement between two people to start building on this relationship and counting on one another, and there's no magic needed. There's no outside influence needed. You sit down with someone, you talk to them, and you start making a rapport, and it could turn into a friendship. This foundation doesn't have to turn into anything else but a friendship, but it could be something more than a friendship, could be a different kind of friendship, that then, it gets to this point where some people will start to call it love, and I would never entertain myself the idea that it was love at first sight, I could say somebody's eyes caught my eyes, and I, I in that moment realized that we were looking at each other. But I'm not going to go ahead and say that there were sparks were flying, and Cupid's arrow struck us, and because of these outside influences that I am now, pushed towards this person, and I can't explain it. No, I actually find reasons for liking people, you know, and I can put words to why I like someone. You know, I can figure out those reasons. I don't know. So I guess what I'm saying is, I would be not prejudiced against somebody else as far as them being able to cope with having a relationship with me and me having a relationship with them. You know, I wouldn't be prejudiced against them just because they were in a different religion. I think that there are so many other things to look at before religion. You know, as far as how people are going to connect to one another, and for some people, they're not even the same religion, for more than a couple years at a time while they're in the same relationship. You know, are you going to be in a relationship for the rest of your life with someone, choose them because you're both in the same religion, and then count on them staying the same way and never spiritually progressing into a different idea, you know? Or if they do progress into another idea, they do so at the exact same time that you do. People grow. Sometimes people grow together, on certain issues, on certain aspects of their spiritual journey. But many times, one person is much more interested in researching and reading and talking about stuff than the other person in the relationship. And personally, I find that I don't like having many religious talks with the people that I'm dating. And I can actually get fulfillment as far as speaking with other people from other friends, and not even have to deal with those aspects of my being and their being, because there's so much more to a relationship than just trivial things like have you read this book on spirituality and come to this same conclusion as me. I would even say, what are we having for dinner, to me is more important in a relationship than did we pray before we ate, or are we going to be praying before we eat. No, I want to know if we're going out for Italian or Thai. you know um, so hopefully I've given you a different perspective on this whole unequal yoke thing. I think that just making it to be religion really makes you insular in your dating prospects. It really keeps you from being able to find someone who really, in every other way, which is 99.9% of what's important, it keeps you from being able to find those people, because you could be, let's say, in a cult full of assholes. And if your main criteria for choosing who you want to date is, well, they have to be in my cult, well, then you're going to end up with an asshole. So, chew on that. And Mattia, I hope you find a very nice man who treats you right. I really do, because I know that you have a very warm heart, and you've been looking out for people in your own way in your videos. So good luck on your journey. Hope you find someone special.